What is up, everybody? It is your boy T Macaroni coming at you with another video, and today we are going to be looking at my baby. So blue JJK, blue Sukuna, Aggro Sukuna, whatever you want to call it, that's what we're going to be looking at today. This is the deck I've been most hyped for since looking into Union Arena. I just love JJK on it as a whole, but Sukuna is one of my favorite villains of all time, and I just love the deck and how it plays. So what we are going to be looking to do is we are going to be doing a deep dive on everything about this deck, the tech cards, the types of cards that you need to play in the deck, so forth and so on. But as always, guys, if you guys like what I'm doing here, make sure you hit that like and subscribe. We are almost to 200 subscribers, so it means a lot with all the support and everything. And shout out to everybody who has been jamming games with me in the community Discord. It means a lot as well. Anyways, without further ado, let's get into it. So the core pieces to the deck. So this deck wouldn't exist if it wasn't for Sukuna'S finger. So basically, your matches revolve around seeing this card. If you don't see enough fingers or you see too many fingers, it can be a detriment. But usually you want the more fingers, the better. You need to be at 2 to 3 fingers to start to get going. I've had some couple of non-games where I'm only on 1 finger, and it's a little bit harder to churn through those matches. But once you get to the 2 to 3 finger mark, you're chilling. If you see all 4 fingers, you're just built different. This card is also very good for drawing out of bad hands. Being able to just basically draw 1 card for free is very, very strong, whether it be at the cost of 1 life. Coming from Magic, using life as a resource is always beneficial to you. So if in the early game, if you know you're against a slower deck, you can actually just take the life and not having to rest one of your UGs, or you can just rest an active UG to get that draw. So basically it will always replace itself, and it advances your game plan. Very strong card. Another core piece to the deck is the 2/1 Itadori Yuji. So when played, look at the top 5 cards of your deck, reveal up to 1 Sukuna fingers card, and add them to your hand. Put the remaining to the bottom, and if you added a card like this, you get to place 1 card from your hand to the bottom of your deck. So it's cheap and reliable Sukuna finger. It's only a 2/1, so you can get this out usually by turn 2 if you're going second, or turn 3 if you're going first. It allows you to cycle through your deck easily, because just being able to go 5 cards deep is very, very strong. Not only that, you get to pull a finger out as well, so you are advancing your game plan, your fingies game plan, and then you also get good early game pressure because it is a 3k body, so you can push it out, use it to get some early damage in if you don't want to use your raid UGs. And speaking of raid UGs, we have the Temple King himself, 4/1 Itadori Yuji. So he's raid, and in one played you get to choose up to 1 character with 4,000 or less BP on your opponent's front line and return it to their hand, and then it has the raid trigger of raiding. The Tempo King. So when you play this card, especially if you know your opponent has overcommitted by using maybe AP resets or things like that and overextended on their turn, you can use this UG to bounce that and just basically say, hey, you just wasted your turn, GG, right? Not only do you get to bounce a 4k, which is very, very strong, especially in the heavy Renji Rush meta, being able to bounce the Renjis, bounce things like that back to their hand is very, very strong. Not only that, it establishes tempo by being able to not only get rid of a threat, but also being able to go in for damage and then come back on the defensive as well. Being a 4/1, like I mentioned with Renji Rush, is just very, very easy to get into early, so you can just have like 2 double energies in the back and then raid, play 1 and then raid over into this, so you can get that damage in. Very, very strong. And not only that, if it is hit in raid, it can bounce an attacker as well, which is very, very good. And arguably, probably the best card in your deck, bar none, is the 4/1 Sukuna. So a lot of stuff. It raids over Itadori Yuji, And during your turn, if one or more copies of Sukuna fingers are in your sideline, this character gains 1000 BP. If there are 2 or more copies, this character gains impact 1. Very strong effect. Like I was mentioning, you want to be at 2 to 3 fingers. This is the reason why you want to be at 2 fingers to gain that impact 1. And then it also has additionally, when played, draw 2 cards and place 1 cards from your hand into the sideline. So draw 2, trash 1. Very good card. Late game, being able to save 5k impact. Easily one of the best finishers. And then when you combo it with the next card we're about to talk about, you're basically winning the late game, bar none. And the next card, without any surprise to anybody, we have to talk about Malevolent Shrine. So Malevolent Shrine has a lot of words on it, but let's get into it. It is a 4/1 sight card that comes into the field active, and then activate main. You can switch this card to resting. You have to choose a Sukuna on your field. Until the end of turn, it gains all listed abilities below if you have the required number of Sukuna'S fingers. If you have 2 or more, it gets damage 2. If you have 3 or more, it gets snipe, and if it has 4 or more, it gains impact +1. All right, so the reason why we want to be at 3 is we want that snipe. Damage 2 is nice, so it does make your early game Sukuna'S more aggressive, but that snipe keyword being, we know Kurapika is a strong deck in the format currently, and it has snipe when it is rated, but being able to give your Sukuna snipe every turn and damage 2 every turn is just insane value. So once you hit up those 3 fingies, it is basically GG for any of your opponent's boss monsters. They are coming off the board. And then if you can get the beautiful 4 fingers in the bin, you get impact +1. If you pair it up with a 4/1 Sukuna, that is impact +2. In my testing with proxies, I was able to get double Malevolent Shrine on board and going in for impact 3 with snipe. Disgusting work when it comes to a late game card. And the benefit of this as well is it can work with any Sukuna, whether rated or unrated. So sometimes you can just jam a hard Sukuna on the board. Let's say you don't want to waste a body for the Yuji raid, and then you can just give a vanilla Sukuna all these keyword effects and stuff like that. Very good value. Insane. That's what makes this deck really strong. Another core piece to this deck, and this is my personal opinion, is Maki Zenin. So Maki Zenin is very interesting, and we'll go over it and I'll explain why. So during your opponent's turn, if you have 1 or more Curse Duel affinity cards or 4 or more event cards in your sideline, this character gains 1500 BP. And then when played, you get to look at the top 2 cards of your deck, add 1 of those cards to hand, and place the remaining into the sideline. If you've played against me while proxying this deck, I always call Maki Zenin the best 2-drop bar none in the game. Reason being is not only does she get to look at the top 2 cards and you get to see, it has the added benefit of being able to put 1 into your sideline. So not only do you get to scry 2 and just add 1, which is value in itself, you also get to accelerate your game plan. If you're familiar with a 1/1 Ichigo from Bleach, we see how that generates value because it's able to look at the top card and mill 1. This is doing the same, but you're looking at 2 and you get to add 1. So not only does it replace itself, it also fuels your strategy as well. And that requirement of getting 4 or more event cards is very easy because fingers are event cards. So you are wanting to get those fingers in the bin anyway, so it is accelerating your game plan. When you start using all your specials and your AP resets and stuff like that, you'll see the value of Maki very quickly. And not only that, with Maki, she is a 3k on your opponent's turn. So not only that, you can stop the early game aggression that people have been doing really well nowadays. Being able to push those early bodies on board if they have multiple and rushing you down, Maki eases that up. Not only that, it can stop Renji Rush in its tracks because now you have a 2/1 body that you can play on the board and block off that early damage. So what makes this deck good? So as I said, mentioned tempo. Yuji both Yujis are very good at as tempo plays, using them to basically get rid of your opponent's bodies off the board. So in the case of the 3-2 Yuji here, he gets rid of a 3500, or he sidelines one. And then the 4-1 Yuji is able to use get rid of a 4K by bouncing it to hand. So Yuji is used as a tempo play to establish board presence and get in for clean damage. The other thing that makes this deck good is by drawing a lot of cards. You get to go through your deck pretty quickly and pretty frequently by the use of Nobara, Sukuna'S fingers, or the Maki Zenin shown on screen. And you're just using that to churn through your deck to get your pieces faster, as fast as possible, so you can establish your board presence and your combos, and you can respond to your opponent in Tort. The other thing that we've been talking about a lot is Sukuna himself, probably one of the best late game finisher cards in the game at current time. Sukuna plus Shrine just means once you hit 3 fingers, you're pretty much chilling. So let's talk about cards. So for this deck, we have some key 0-drops, and the first one I want to be talking about is the Takuma Ino. Basically just a vanilla 0-drop, but it has a draw trigger, so we want to be going through our deck as fast as possible, so that's why we run it. Easy 4 of in the deck. Then we have the Itadori Yuji. It is just a vanilla, and it has a get trigger of adding to your hand. It is a name. We need plenty of these, so we are playing this. And probably the tried and true T-Mac turn 1 combo is the Nobara Kugasaki, which is the when played draw 1 trash 1, and then it has the added trigger of drawing a card. Reason why it's just good is turn 1 you just go Nobara, pitch finger, and you're already off to the races. Some people might argue that's not the best turn 1 play, but it is my favorite turn 1 play. For the longest while, my name in the Discord was Nobara plus finger, and that is my tried and true play, so just very good 0-drop. So no, we're not running any 1-drops in this list. So then next we're going to go into the 2 energy. We spoke about the Yuji being able to look at the top 5 and just adding a finger to hand. So then next turn you can follow it up with being able to get a free draw. Just insane value. And then we obviously talked about the Maki Zenin on the 2 slot. Both are 1 energy producers, so they are just overall good value. In the 3 energy slot, we have the 3-1 starter deck Yuji, and we have the 3-2 color trigger Yuji. So the 3-1 Yuji says on your opponent's turn, if there's a Sukuna finger in the bin, this character gets plus 1000 PP. So we can stop those very aggressive early game strategies looking to push out 0-drops like the Toshiro raid with like the 15 or 16 zeros. And then it also has the benefit of having an active trigger, but usually this is going to stay in the back just because it's one of our double energy producers, so we want to get this in the back as fast as possible. And the active trigger is also nice as well. The next card we're going to look at is the 3-2 Yuji, which is the color trigger. So the color trigger in blue is choose 1 character with 3500 or less VP on your opponent's front line and bounce its hand, and it has the same effect as the color trigger in the 1 played, but if you have 1 or 2 Sukuna fingers, if you have 1 or 2 Sukuna fingers, you return it to hand. If you have 3 or more Sukuna fingers, you get to sideline the chosen character. So on a 3-2, you basically get to KO something 3500 or less. Very good value. A lot of the times you'll see things like the 3k Kurapika in the front line, or if they're running the melodies or any of those cards like that where they kind of sit in the front and just chill, you can get rid of those quite frequently. And it also is a double energy producer, so you can use this to go 3-2, drop this, bounce something, and then go into Raid Yuji, and then bounce another thing. Just straight value town. And on the 4 energy, we have to talk about pretty much this is the core, the bread and butter, the core of the deck. It is the 4-1 Itadori Yuji, where you are choosing up to 1 character with 4000 or less BP on your opponent's front line and bouncing it to hand, and obviously having a raid trigger. I talked about this briefly, but just being able to bounce a 4K is just very, very strong. It is not only a very strong tempo play, but you can get a good attack off of this, because this is usually that means you're getting 1 extra damage in. And then on the defensive side, it is on a 4K, so that is also very strong as well. And then we're going to talk about Malevolent Shrine. What haven't I said about this card? This card, if you have 2 thingies in the bin, you can give it Sukuna damage 2. If you have 3, you give it Snipe. Or if you have 4, you give it Impact 1. Just overall strong card. I'm only running 2 of this in the list just because you want to see it, but you don't want to see it. As you guys know, that's one of my favorite things to say. But for one, if worst case, if you get 2 of them in hand, you can discard 1 if anything, or if you want to keep both until later, that's up to you as well. And it has a get trigger, so even if it's in your life, it will come to hand, so you can use it in late game. And the 4/1 Sukuna, we talked about it as well, but just such a strong card. Being able to say, alright, I'm going to be a 5k with impact, and I get to draw 2 trash ones, so you get to dig further in your deck. Very strong card. And then the last card, as for characters that we haven't talked about yet, a new addition, and I had to play the mirror, so shout out to the Ming in the Discord, but he put me on this and I've been liking it a lot. So 5/1 Sukuna. So initially I just wanted to keep it like straight aggro with the on the 4/1, so the maxing out at 4 energy, but I realized, what do I do in the mirror? Do I really want the mirror to boil down to, oh, who sees more 4/1s? No. So this is the answer to that. So let's talk about this card. So it has the same requirements of rating, but it is a 5/1, and then one play, you get to choose up to one of your opponent's frontline characters, switch it to resting. It will remain resting the next time it would be switched to active. And then not only that, you get to look at the top 5, reveal up to 1 Sukuna Finger or 1 Malevolent Shrine, and add it to hand, and then place the rest to the bottom. So not only is this card a searcher for not only Finger, it also is a searcher for Malevolent Shrine, so it's like we're playing additional copies of all those cards, but it also gets the stun something for a turn. Very, very strong effect. Being able to stun your opponent's Sukuna'S, or being able to stun their Yujis, or stun them, whatever they have on board, is just very, very crazy. Especially if you're going against Kurapika, you can stun their 5k and then use this to push in for damage. And like I mentioned, this deck is all about tempo, gaining advantage and outvaluing your opponent, and this card helps that a lot. Being able to just say, hey, chill out for a second, or I'm gonna chill you out with one character and Divergent Fist the other, and then bada bing bada boom, which we haven't talked about, so let's talk about that now. The events, obviously, we have to be on 4 Sukuna Finger, no less than that. This card is insane. Being able to draw 1 for essentially free is just strong, and then you also get to switch one of your APs to active, and that's the free part. So basically you pay 1 action point, draw your card, and then re-extend an AP. Very, very strong. And then obviously the last 2 cards that we are running are the special and the final. Divergent Fist being the special. Choose one character with 5,000 or less, you return it to hand. If Yuji's on board, you get to sideline it instead. Very strong card. We already know what the special does. And then obviously Domain Expansion being your AP reset, and then if you have 0 life, you get to heal 1. So that is the cards that we are going to be running in this deck, and let's take a look at some stuff. The tech options. The tech options are where you want to kind of mix it up a little bit. And the first tech option we're going to talk about is Todo. So when attacking, you guys to choose one other character on both your front line and energy line and swap them. And then it also has the active trigger as well on a 5/1. So some lists run Todo just because you can get an additional 5th attack if you have a full board, or you can just use them to basically get another attacker on board. So you always will be +1 attack than what you have in your front line. It's a very strong card if you can get it online. Me personally, I'm not running it in my initial drafts just because I feel like that's a little bit more win more. If you're already doing like have a big board, I should say, playing Todo is not really going to affect it that much unless you're trying to OTK your opponent. The other card you can run as well is the Nobara Kugasaki, the one that costs 1 bouncer. Some people like these cards, some people hate it. In my initial list, I felt like I didn't need it as much. The only card I would like to bounce is probably the Nobara, but definitely can make an argument to run it if you want to run it. I do have lists with it, without it, so it's up to you. The other card we have to talk about is this Gojo Satoru. Just the active energy production. It's basically the Nutera of JJK. Another card that you can run, because if you're running that more, 4 is your max number. You can run this and the Nobara, so running it similar to like the Renji Rush strategies where you just try to get to 4, but you kind of have to be careful with these ones because decks are running, like there is going to be Purple Toto running in the format, so you don't want your energy line to get boogie woogied, so you gotta have to, that's why I'm not running those as too much, but you gotta respect those decks as well. So if you want to run these, you can definitely run these. And then the final card we need to talk about is Jujutsu High First Years. So it's a draw 3, trash 2, and it has a trigger to draw card on a 3/1. Very good event card. I think I would like to run this. This is not the deck. My personal first list of this was running this, but then I cut it out just to be more efficient. You can definitely make an argument to run this, but that is up to you. I didn't feel a need for it, but it's always an option as well. If you're running a more Nanami build, then definitely I think this card should be run. So this is the Aggro Sukuna list. This is the day 1 build for me. So pretty much all the cards I just mentioned a while ago are featured in this list. No real surprises. This is pretty much the list I was going for. Hey guys, T-Mac from the future here. I realized on this list I accidentally put 4 shrines, but it actually should be 2 shrines and 2 5/1 Sukuna'S. So make sure you guys do that edit when you are building the deck list. All right, back to the video. This is the 2/2 restricted list. So if we get that double restriction, here you see we play only 2 of the UG and 2 of the Sukuna, and we bump up the color trigger to 4, and then we are running 4 Makis, and we're also running 4 of the 5/1s. So just running more of the top end stuff and then replacing the additional UGs, so that way we're not running low on UG count. And this is the choice restriction list. So if we have to choose between the 2/1 and the 4/1. I feel like the 4/1 generates more value, so we want to max out on that. So pretty much everything is still the same, but we're maxing out on the color triggers, we're maxing out on the Maki Zenins, and then we're maxing out on the 5/1s as well. And this is the spicy list for all the Nanami fans out there. So this is the hybrid Sukuna Nanami list that I came up with. So as you see, we're running 4 of the Jujutsu High First Years. We're running, instead of the Ino Takabara, we are running the 4 0-drop Kento Nanami, and then we are running the Raid Nanami. So the Raid Nanami just says, if you have 15 or less cards in your deck, this character gains damage 2 and impact 1. So that's the only real part we care about. The additional part is not really relevant, but just being on a 4/1 and being able to say, hey, I'm going to swing this big body and you got to deal with it, brother, is just very, very strong. And then we run the Jujutsu High First Year. Being able to draw 3 trash 2 just enables that strategy even more. Not only do you get to dig into your pieces more, you can play more aggressively. This list is built in mind that the 2/1 UG and the Sukuna are untouched, but you can build accordingly. Copy similar to how the choice restricted ban list, or whatever ban list we get, you can just build accordingly to that list based on what the deck list that I've shown. And then this is the Sukuna total list. So basically, instead of running the full 5/1 Sukunas, we are running 2 of the Totos, 2 of the 5/1 Sukunas. In this list, we do need a little bit more energy just because we have a couple of 5/1s. So we are running that new Nobara Kugasaki, the 2/1 energy, 1/1 bouncer, and we're also running the Gojo Satoru just to have the energy curve smooth out a little bit more. We cut the color triggers in this regard, and then we're playing a more low to the ground strategy until we can get to the 5/1, so we can go for some nasty combo turns. Anyways guys, thanks for watching. I know this one has been a little bit of a longer one and a little bit more grindy, but I wanted to make sure you guys understand fully how blue JJK or blue Sukuna works specifically. So As always, guys, make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe for more content. I'm going to be trying to put out some more deck lists for this for JJK before release, so make sure you guys stay tuned for that one. I think the next one we are going to be doing is talking about Yellow, because a lot of people are excited for that one as well. So we're going to be talking about Gojo and Nobara, so make sure you guys stay tuned for that one. Let me know what deck you guys are going to be playing, because I want to know all the spicy brews and stuff that you're going to be coming up for JJK. And as always, guys, make sure you guys follow me on X or join the community Discord. All the links will be in the description below. Thanks for watching. Stay safe, stay hydrated, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.